Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to another video on my channel here today, and this is another league race, and this time we are back in ORL, the online racing league on PC, and we are at the French Grand Prix at Paul Ricard. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Another race weekend where I can try and improve and get better. Recently, of course, as you guys know by now, I got my pedals and I'm still trying to get faster and faster and try to improve. It's not an overnight thing, and it's going to take a couple of months, but hopefully each race I should be getting better and better now. If you guys missed a previous episode real quick, the Belgian Grand Prix last weekend, I'll plug that in the top right hand corner of the screen, so go check that out if you haven't done so already. And as you know, that was my first race with the new pedals back then. We're now here though at France, Paul Ricard, and this was a very interesting race weekend. Now, I'm not sure what I'm going to call this video in terms of the title. I might call it Drive to Survive, and that would be more relevant to the race. But for qualifying, there was a bit of an interesting strategy on the table. So, long story short, for context reasons, the race is going to have rain about 15 to 20 minutes in. That's what the weather forecast says. So there was a bit of a split on strategy, whether to qualify on softs or to qualify on mediums, and I chose the soft tyres, and regrettably I did. I pretty much, as soon as I crossed the line to finish my first time lap a moment ago, which you just saw was a 1:27.4, I straight away realised, maybe I should have not done that. I should have gone for the mediums, because the majority of cars were going for mediums. I got completely bamboozled. So essentially the old trick where people go out and do an out lap on softs and then box, I actually assumed everyone was qualifying on soft tyres, and I just went for it. I should have waited, been a bit more patient to see what happens, but I kind of panicked a little bit, slash my head was scrambled, and it went wrong. So I tried at the last minute to set a lap on mediums. You can see here there's a lot of traffic on this lap, so I'm actually going to end up aborting, pulling over to the side, charging up the ERS, keeping the fuel, and I'm going to try and do this lap again. So as you can see, now at the end of my second attempt, I'm about 3.5 tenths down. I did try to improve, but it wasn't possible. The medium tyre is too slow around here, to beat the lap time that I did on softs, which by the way was pretty poor. My best lap was a 27.6 overall if I nailed it on soft tyres, and in GP mode a 26.8 I believe on softs. So to be 6 tenths off the pace, that was pretty poor even on soft tyres. So I thought to myself, on mediums I could probably beat that. Turns out I was very wrong. So you can see right now with P4, Domenico Lovecchio goes P5 just a moment ago. Nicolas Longuet is the first of the medium tyre qualifiers, and after qualifying, if we look at the results, you can see we finished in P4, which is decent, but with a big asterisk, of course, and that is, of course, the faster guys did qualify in mediums. Now, I want to mention real quick, before we jump into the race, you can see the grid right now. My lap on mediums would have been a 1:27.9, so we probably could have got P9 in qualifying, so in hindsight, I really regret not trying it. But I need to quickly mention the strength of field in this race, because you can't see the full 20 drivers on screen right now, but even though it's just 14 of them, this weekend, I think this was probably the strongest league race field I've ever had. There was at least 7 F1 Esports drivers in here, so some of them, of course, Nicolas Longuet, Tomek Parajic, Jona Otmir, Daniele Haddad, Alvaro Carreton, Shanaka Clay, some really strong drivers in here, and there's even more, I believe, that you can't actually see on screen right now that are in the lower half of the table. But basically, it was a big combination of F1 Esports drivers and also F1 Pro Draft, drivers, and it was really, really competitive. And I really enjoy this. The challenge of racing against these guys is only going to make me better. So that's why I'm pointing it out, because it was definitely the strongest field that I've raced in quite a while, or maybe even ever, because there was a lot of fast drivers in here. Just the fact I'm racing against Jarno, Nicolas Longuet, Tomek, Daniele Haddad, Carreton, Shanaka Clay, that is already, I believe, 6 F1 Esports drivers, which is crazy. So yeah, really, really strong grid. And you've got people like Alessio Di Capua who are really, really fast, Shazoo Felipe as well. So yeah, that is the goal for qualifying. We're now going to move to the race, and we're going to quickly move into the strategy. Now, as I mentioned before, of course, in qualifying, you can see the weather forecast. The rain is scheduled to arrive about 20 minutes into the race. We're forced to start on the soft tyres, and obviously we're going to be praying one of two options. Option 1, the rain arrives and we go straight into the intermediates. Option 2, the rain takes a long time to arrive and we get to do an extra stop and do a full 2 stints, basically. If it arrives just after we pit for another set of dryers, that's going to be the worst case scenario. So here we are then, end of the formation lap, and we're going to get ready for the start of the race, and we're going to try and send it, basically, give it absolutely everything and hope for the best. So let's send it. As you can see, the lights are about to come on here. We're going to see if we can get a good launch off the line. Again, my starts aren't great on my pedals so far, but this one, to be fair, was actually decent. It wasn't great. I think it's more because Pablo got a poor start, so it made it look better than what it was. But we got a decent start for once. Both Hascars 1-2 for now. Felipe and Get Owned. I should have turned in there. That was really poor from me at turn 1. I kind of pussied out to not, for lack of a better phrase, pardon my French. I should have definitely just turned in there and been a bit more aggressive. But again, I peaked at the wrong time for this race as well. I was speaking about it on stream, but I felt much more confident a couple of hours before this. I felt like at this stage I kind of got a bit lost and I didn't have that confidence anymore, which wasn't great. But nonetheless, we're going to continue on lap 1. Currently P3. We've overtaken Pablo Joglar, which is great. And of course, him and Lovece are the only 2 cars behind me on soft tyres. Then it's Longue and Otmir on mediums. So you're going to see how that dynamic works in this race, because essentially we are racing, and right now this is basically Drive to Survive, hence why I think I'm going to call the title that, because we're just constantly asking on the radio, when is the rain going to arrive, when is it falling down, because we need to basically try and drive at a conservative pace where we can save the tyres but stay competitive. So it's a real fine line as we pick up our first warning for track limits. It's really, really tough to, try and save tyres and drive quick. It's something that Jan Otmir does so well, and hence why he's the F1 Esports World Champion, and why he wins a lot of these league races. He has an ability to save tyres, and especially ERS as well, in traffic by keeping good pace that a lot of people can't do, and I really struggle with. But nonetheless, lap 3, DRS is now enabled. You can see we're outside of the DRS range of Get Owned in front of us. He's kind of just following his teammate Felipe along for now. And we've got Lovece, who's now overtaken Pablo Joglar for P4 behind us, and he's also got the fastest lap. So Dominico showing a bit of pace at the minute, and to be fair, I knew he was quicker than me. I wasn't really pushing too much, and also I didn't feel that fast as well. A bit of a bad combination of both, so I'm not going to fight Domenico here, because I don't really have the pace, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what, it's probably better if I let him go and I just kind of follow him with DRS, and hopefully he can drag me along. So yeah, we're currently 3 laps in. I'm also again prioritizing tyre saving. We move on to lap 4, and I pick up a stupid warning for track limits, and again a silly one on my behalf. I was kind of focused on the apex, I wasn't looking where I was going, and I ran wide on entry. So after 4 laps, we're already on 2 warnings for track limits, which is really, really poor and not very good. We come to lap 7 now. The sky is completely dark, and it all starts to kick off about this point. So you can see the tyre indicator in the bottom right is yellow/orange. It's starting to let me know the tyres are wearing out. You can see behind it's all kicking off as cars are battling for position, because essentially everyone's already fighting to get into the pits, and that's the plan here. So lap 8, Jan Otmir sends one down the inside of Pablo behind us, and he makes the move up to P4. Combine that with a bit of lag in front, I wasn't really able to fully accelerate out of here. The rain is falling as well, and we've got, I think, yeah, there you go. So on the radio, Jeff's saying about the strategy change, and Lovece, I believe, trying to make some progress here as he splits the Haas cars. Meanwhile, Jarno Otmir is putting the pressure on. He's also been put under pressure by Nicolas Longue, who has a 3-second time penalty, but Jarno has a lot more ERS than me, and he's going to come through here. In hindsight, I wish I'd defended a little bit more, but I let him go. I wasn't going to battle Jarno because he's a lot quicker than me. It's kind of a pointless exercise, so yeah, Jarno goes by. He's up into P4 now, and we've got Nicolas Longue behind, my teammate. And this is important for race strategy, because otherwise we're going to have to stack in the pits. So I'm trying to stay ahead here, but my tyres are finished. The soft tyres, this was the last lap of these tyres. If you go one more, you're going to get a puncture. So we had to pit. There was no solution, and we're going to box end of lap 8. It's a bit early for the intermediates, but it's pointless going for another set of dries now. You just have to go for the inters and hope that the rain falls. It's as simple as that. So as you can see, I'm already realising behind, I'm going to get held really, really badly here. And this is the issue with the F1 games online, and it's something that the league races talk about a lot. But you can see here, I just get held for so long, and in the process, you'll see now, might actually benefit. Oh, how's Joglar fucking got me there? Jesus Christ, this guy, I can't beat him. I was pretty pissed off about that. I'll be honest. The fact I got held, I've had my recent battles with Pablo Joglar on track, and we're pretty similar, in terms of pace and just general knowledge in terms of the way we battle. And I did a good job of, getting past at the start, keeping him behind me. But then somehow in the pit stops, he came out ahead of me. And on the intermediates, my pace was absolutely terrible. Now, this was a different conversation entirely. So essentially, we completed the drive to survive. We managed to make it onto the intermediates. DRS just got disabled, as you just saw, so the track conditions are now ready for inters. And I do believe those who stayed up one more lap on the mediums probably benefited more, because I think we went a bit too early. As you can tell by my pace, I'm absolutely nowhere. I've dropped off massively from the cars ahead. And yeah, back to what I was saying. So essentially, this is a different conversation now. So my issue is, this was my first wet running with my new pedals. And driving in the wet is a completely different style to in the dry. And I quickly realized I'm a long way away. You know, I'm only just kind of getting used to the dry conditions, but the wet threw a completely different curveball my way, and I just wasn't able to match the pace. You know, I was not on it at all. In the rain, you depend a lot on, you know, braking, not locking up, being able to rotate the car with brakes and accelerator. And I just wasn't able to do that at all. I had no control or confidence in the car. Meanwhile, you can see Tomek Perejic and Zones battling quite heavily here for P9. But I'm not really focused on that, because I'm not really close enough to cash in and, you know, benefit from that. Meanwhile, Benzabo Konyi here in the Renault is going to get by. I'm going to try and fight it. Using a bit of the ERS, we're going to send it on the brakes, which is one area that I am good at. So when it comes to heavy brake zones, with the new pedals, I feel like I've improved, and I can definitely brake a lot later now. But it's all those kind of corners where you tap the brake, you know, you dab the brake, or you trowel brake, or, you know, use half of it. Basically, those kind of half corners where it takes a bit of finesse, I'm no good with the pedals right now, especially in the rain. So this kind of corner here, where you're kind of like on and off the brake all the time, and the accelerator, this is where I really struggle. So Benzabo Konyi gets by. We've now got Patrick Kruti behind us in the Mercedes, as I make a bit of a mistake here again with the pedals, just getting the braking all wrong. I kind of broke a lot, then I didn't brake enough, ran deep. Meanwhile, now Patrick is going to look for a move here. We're going to defend it, because, you know, I want to try and stay ahead. So again, just like the last lap, heavy brake zone, I can do this. You know, I can go quite late on the brakes, but then it's this area here when getting the traction down, I just don't have that confidence to really, you know, accelerate away like I'd like to. And Patrick is well within the range here to go for another overtake attempt as we go through Senior on the back straight. Patrick is going to go for the lunge here. As you can see, he's right on my gearbox as he goes down the inside into the double right-hander. And we have to let him go. Again, not much I can really do here. We get forced out to the curb, so we have to let that one go. We're now down to P13. Worth noting as well, by the way, we rejoined P11 after the pit stops, and we was P5 when we pit, so we lost out, you know, by getting held, and that lap on the intermediates, when it wasn't quite there yet, didn't really help. So yeah, this stage, it was just a losing battle. I was frustrated with myself because I could tell I didn't have the pace. It was really hurting me, and I was just trying to survive. I really was at this point. There was no other way to describe it. Daniel Haddad is now going to go for a move here, and he's going to go down the inside. Again, one of those moves that I don't really like, because it doesn't really help. There's definitely an element of F1 esports drivers. I think if they're battling someone they know they're faster than, they'll just send it on them at any corner and just obviously hope and assume that the person moves out of the way, which is what I do. So yeah,
right now,
we're now at lap 14 behind Zones, and he's got a 3-second time penalty, and I'm going to try and get past. So in the meantime, behind us, Josh Idu actually retires from the race, another F1 esports driver who was racing today. He got a 3-second time penalty right behind us, and he boxed to retire. So 14 drivers, sorry, 18 drivers left in the race. We're P14 out of those 18, and it was around about this point. It took me about 4 or 5 laps, but now is when I was starting to feel the confidence in the car. So I was starting to get a bit quicker. I still was nowhere near the pace, but I was a bit more, you know, it was a bit more acceptable in terms of what my lap times were and my car control. The issue for me was, and one of the problems I have in the rain is, because I play with higher graphics, and by higher I mean I run on medium, but because I run on higher graphics, in the rain I struggle to see a lot. But the problem is I can't run low graphics. I can't handle how bad it looks. It just doesn't feel right to me. I can't explain it, but I could never go to full low graphics because it would be a lot to get used to, if that makes sense. So I kind of just put up with this, but there are elements where I can't quite see where I'm going in the rain, and it is definitely a losing advantage compared to, I know some people in F1 esports who run with low graphics and the visibility is a lot better. But nonetheless, ramble aside, I tried to get past Zones there. He used a lot of VRS and then ended up actually pitting on lap 15, and I think he's going for an early stop because essentially a lot of us realised we weren't going to make it to the end on these intermediates. So we're going to have to pit again. There is heavy rain on the way, by the way, so we're going to have to keep an eye on that as well. But you can see now lap 16, Daniela Haddad is in the pits, Patrick Cruti is in the pits, and they're going to two-stop it with the intermediates, essentially. And it was about now I kind of realised, okay, I'm going to have to pit. I'm not going to make it. You know, the target in terms of tyre wear by the end of the race, I was looking at 85%, which is puncture territory. So I had to get that down. I tried to get it down. I couldn't. So lap 17, I am going to bite the bullet and go into the pit lane. So we're going to box, we're going to strap on a fresh set of inters, and we're going to hope that we can try and fight back, because my pace has improved a bit now, so I'm a little bit more on it. So I'm hoping with a fresh set we can try and go again and do a bit of damage. So into the pit lane we go. You can hear me say I'm going to get held, and I am going to get held by Shazoo Felipe here. As you can see, the luck with this is unbelievable. You know, he was the only car in the pits coming in behind us, and it just happened to be at the perfect time and distance where I got held for like another couple of seconds. So yeah, it wasn't my day today in terms of the pit stops. It wasn't going my way. I've probably lost 2 seconds there, and I lost about another 3 or 4 seconds, maybe even 5 seconds in the first stop. So 7 seconds makes a lot of difference in these kind of races in terms of track position. You can see already if I had 7 seconds in my pocket up the road, I'd be a long way away. So yeah, lap number 18 now onto lap 19, and we've got Domenico Lavecha in the pits, and he's going for the full wet tyre. I was thinking about this myself when I pit last lap, but I went for the intermediate because it was meant to dry up again. So essentially we've got to try and drive through this phase where it's extreme wet conditions basically, and then hopefully the track will dry out and there'll be intermediates again towards the end of the race. So at the end of the lap you can see Falcon Nardi pits as well. He's another one who's two-stopping the intermediates. So we're back up to P14 for now, and as it stands we're chilling. You know, we're 1.5 seconds behind Shanaka Clay. He's got a 3-second time penalty. Tianyu Tang's got 6 seconds. So at the minute we could be P12 in this race, and I know there's more penalties up the road as well. So if I can just stay with this little pack of cars, we're going to be decent. We're going to be in the mix and looking at some points today. So I want to try and keep it clean. So you can see there's about 3 or 4 cars ahead of us here. So this is looking pretty decent. And at this stage, I was pretty quick. I make a bit of a mistake here, though. And this allows Loveche to go for a move. Now, I will admit, he was a lot quicker than me at this stage. The full wets were the tyre to be on. You know, the rain was really starting to fall, and Domenico has a lot more grip than me, and everyone else, like myself on inters at this point, is pretty much just trying to survive. You'll see here, lap 21, I get very close to Tianyu Tang there in the Renault as we almost lose our front wing. Again, my braking was poor there. I'm struggling to get consistent with it. That's the issue here. I can do quite good sometimes, but then quite poorly in others. Again, I make another mistake with the braking there. And this allows Loveche to put me under more pressure again. And he's trying to look for this move. And he's got a lot more traction. You can see the grip there on those wet tyres as we got a little raid on Twitch. So shout out to Patrick for that one, which I believe I didn't call out at the time. So thanks to him for that. Loveche tries around the outside. I'm going to just about hold it, but you can see he's really trying hard for that cutback, that switchback move. But luckily, I just about stay ahead. But again, he's going to go to the outside here this time, which is quite an interesting one. We're going to try and fight it and go side by side with him through this section. You can see here we're going to get the inside line. I've got a very shallow line though, and I run a bit of wide with understeer. I force him off the track, which admittedly was not the best move. No contact, and I did keep it within the track limits, but I did shove him off the track a bit. But again, it wasn't entirely my fault. The conditions and just the way I took such a shallow line, I got through. Loveche lets me back through. I believe he got a, I want to say a warning for illegal overtake, for overtaking me off the track. So I think he had to let me by. So luckily we get P14 back on lap 22, and we're going to stay ahead for now. But he's not done yet. And this is also bringing Shazoo Felipe into play. And also worth noting, the gap to Shanaka Clay has gone up to 3.5 seconds now, when it was 1.5 a couple of laps ago. You know, we're losing a lot of time here, and we're not out of range in terms of benefiting from Shanaka's penalty. So it's not working out for us. Domenico goes for another move down the inside here through the double rights. He's got a lot more grip still at this phase of the race. And it was pretty much at this point where it started to turn. So the rain shortly after this kind of went back to light rain, and it was back to intermediates at this phase of the race. So we kind of survived that tricky spell where Domenico had a big tyre advantage. But now we're back on intermediate conditions pretty much, and I was able to actually get a bit of a gap to him. You can see in the top left, he actually gets overtaken by Shazoo Felipe now on lap 24, because he's struggling for pace. He can't keep up, And yeah, the pressure from behind is off now. So for us, it's all about trying to get back within 3 seconds of Shanaka Clay up ahead. The problem is I wasn't able to. He was quicker than me at this stage of the race now, and I just had no momentum. The Lovecha actually ended up retiring at lap 24, so yeah, it is not ideal. Let's say the couple are disconnected, and he was in the pit lane taking an AI second stop. So we're now P13, and if we benefit from the 2 penalties in front, the best we're going to do is P11. So unfortunately, it's looking like we're not going to make it today in terms of the points, which is unfortunate. But again, we just miss out. We seem to be right in that region lately. In every league race we do, we're just outside the top 10, missing out the points. But last lap of the race, you can see here, I tried to put some pressure on Tianyu Tang. I tried to catch him, but it wasn't to be. It wasn't enough. And we're going to finish today's race in P13, I believe, or sorry, P12 actually, as we'll benefit from the penalties. So yeah, a shame. I was a bit annoyed this race because of the lack of pace. You know, a lot of things went wrong that race in terms of, you know, things that were out of my control, but ultimately my pace just wasn't there, and that was the key element in this race. So I need to work on my wet weather pace. I think again that will, you know, improve with time. But worth noting, as we look at the final race results, as Jana Otmir wins, the top 4, they all one-stopped it on the intermediates. They managed to get them to the end, and they benefited big time. Alvaro Carreton was the first of the 2 stoppers, and it goes to show how off the pace we were. You know, I was ahead of Benzabo Konyi in P6 just after the first stop on the intermediates, and look at where we finished. You know, it goes to show it could have been a different race for us. And also worth noting, the 5, 6, 7 seconds that I lost worth of penalties, you know, in the pit stop by being held, could have made a big difference as well. So yeah, it's just one of them ones, and hopefully I get better luck and I'm faster in the future. But looking at the results, Otmir, Longue get owned as the podium. Dario Lemula misses out in P4 ahead of Carreton, Benzabo, Tomek Poradzic, Patrick Kruti, Pablo Hoglar, and Daniel Haddad picks up the final point. Missing out the points, we have Shanaka Clay, myself, Shizu Felipe, Tianyu Tang, and so on and so forth. So there you go, there's your top 14 from ORL in the French Grand Prix. And yeah, we'll be back again, guys, on Thursday for PSGL, the race, and then hopefully Sunday, more ORL action. I believe both races are at Silverstone, so that's going to be interesting. But guys, if you enjoyed today's video, leave a like, subscribe for more. Thanks to the members of the channel, as always, for supporting. And finally, check out the 2 videos on screen right now if you have missed them. But that's it from me, and I'll see you guys next time.